Yeah, so I think the fundamental demand for DeFi is measured in the tens of trillions of dollars. The demand to borrow and the demand to trade are just massive. And we're really at the starting line of a very long journey and marathon today. Over time, we're going to see this cumbersome activity abstracted away, where you're going to see financial products being built on top of DeFi. You're going to see institutions using DeFi. You're going to see the economics of DeFi, but it's not going to be as difficult. And it's going to be embedded into easy to use, products, services, and markets.
Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh.
The opportunity is real. These are technologies that will change the world and how the world operates, particularly around finance.
It's really about the next era of the internet. It means the ability to tokenize and represent anything of value, move them around the world, what we call an internet of value.
The whole premise is to embrace technology and innovation, but be compliant.
Dubai is the hub of hubs, providing all the elements of the ecosystem that support those startups to grow and thrive.
The energy here is really remarkable. It's because the regulators have created an environment that's very conducive to new projects, entrepreneurial spirit.
Blockchain is the future. Tokenization is the future. What we're seeing is a more mature world out there for digital assets.
With custody, can you then get into value-added services? Can you then go into payments, tokenization, and other streams? Custody, therefore, creates a service that your clients will appreciate.
We have correspondent banks as stakeholders, we have regulators as stakeholders, and I think the on-ramp, off-ramp piece is a huge part of that.
Blockchain plays a very important role in solving some of the issues that we're seeing, whether that's around climate and water technologies or around financial inclusion.
With thousands of these conversations that are happening here over these 2 days, they will get converted into intention and intention into action. That's what Ripple is here for, to enable that ecosystem to succeed.
We're at a crossroads for crypto and blockchain to be integrated into all of the system. We got to step back and realize these are technologies that will change and improve people's lives. About a Ripple sales pitch for a minute. We started with really our only customers were financial institutions. That's starting to expand into SMEs and corporates, and that's going to grow that opportunity. And as that opportunity grows and volumes grow, that drives liquidity. These are all good things for the XRP ecosystem, and again, I think for crypto overall.
From our customers really affirm the progress that we've been able to make and the impact that we've been able to make through launching Ripple Payments and bringing that to market. However, along this journey, we've had conversations with countless customers, many of whom are not licensed financial institutions, but a broader base of corporate customers who as well are experiencing pain associated with legacy cross-border payment infrastructure. And we've realized that as a part of our intentional focus to really cater towards large licensed financial institutions, many corporate customers have been left behind. And as part of our wider mission to enable value to move at the speed with which information moves today, we want to bring these corporates along in that journey. And additionally, many corporates, many of which smaller, medium-sized enterprises, are often underserved by the financial institutions and correspondent banking system. And they don't have the expertise in-house to turn to blockchain and cryptocurrency to solve those problems themselves. But here's where I think Ripple can really step in. There's an opportunity for us to bring our expertise in crypto to businesses. There's an opportunity for us to unlock this benefit without requiring them the know-how in order to leverage blockchain technology. And today, I'm really excited to share with you the latest phase in the evolution of our product, which will open up the benefits of a blockchain-based payment solution without requiring businesses to have that expertise, introducing to a broader base of customers and corporates?
So our ultimate goal is to support you, our customers, in being able to move value in what currency you want, where you want it, and during what time you want to make the payment. So it should be all your choice on the parameters, and we should take care of all the complexity and abstract away the blockchain so that it's worry-free for you. How are we going to do that? So number one, we're making strides with easier access to that off-ramp network I just talked about, 70 payout markets. We've heard from some customers that it would be very useful to be able to onboard with Ripple directly and for Ripple to handle the payment end-to-end, including compliance. And so we're now moving toward being able to offer that directly by building our portfolio of licenses. For example, we are licensed as a payment institution in Singapore now. We're developing our portfolio of money transmission licenses in the United States and have applied in the UK and Europe. And we're continuing to grow that portfolio to bring this service more places. Secondly, the ability to utilize a range of assets to give you best execution on your payments, be it some combination of crypto, stablecoin, fiat currency. Really, it should be about, again, like, where do you want the payment? How much do you want to send? And when do you want to send it? And we should take care of the rest. So we will take the overhead of developing the intelligent liquidity routing to, again, give you best execution. And last but not least, lowering liquidity costs. So we're doing this in a number of ways, but one key thing we want to call out is we are integrating Ripple payments with the XRP Ledger's decentralized exchange. The XRP Ledger, for those who don't know, is an enterprise-grade blockchain. It's been functioning for almost 11 years now without a major incident. So it's highly stable, highly robust, and it has payment features built right into it. Things like a decentralized exchange, but also features like escrow, authorized trust lines, and more things like that.
Institutions will start to allocate, they start a little bit into this whole DeFi economy. And over time, I see literally DEXs, like for example, the XRP Ledger, that's actually the oldest DEX on a public blockchain. I see a decentralized exchange like this really powering enterprise use cases, even like on-demand liquidity, where we use regulated exchanges right now to facilitate cross-border payments.
We've been using this blockchain for a number of years now to serve our payments clients. But what's new with a DEX integration is in the near term, it will enable us to source more liquidity and also enter new markets more quickly to create more off-ramps. And longer term, our vision is that this will enable us to more quickly support new asset types, like real-world assets, real-world asset tokens into the future, and also be able to open up liquidity to more global pools. So that's just a quick touch overview for you of where we're going. And we'll go deeper and you'll hear more about it from one of our payments product leads, Brendan Berry, tomorrow.
So now, Ripple Payments can provide customers access to a full breadth of a global payout network with a single connection. Customers onboard once to Ripple and are immediately able to access over 70 different payout markets. The best part of this is there's no tech-heavy lifting. They're able to onboard to us and immediately start initiating payments using an intuitive user interface. And I'll draw a little bit of a contrast here with a lot of the licensed larger institutions that we've served today. And if you are an existing customer of Ripple Payments, you manage crypto in your workflow today, and you have the expertise and sophistication to do so, and this works well. But it's challenging for smaller corporates who don't have that expertise or resources to build that in-house. And now, with our latest product capabilities, Ripple Payments can be managed end-to-end by Ripple. So a customer can initiate that payment with simplicity. And that notion of simplicity, we are able to abstract all of the complexity associated with interacting or managing digital assets or interacting with a blockchain-based solution so that corporate customers can transact with ease focusing on not being a crypto expert themselves, but solving their core problem. I'll draw another contrast. Larger financial institutions today have developed over many years fantastic expertise and sophistication around transaction monitoring, around ensuring that they are maintaining compliance with local standards and regulations in every jurisdiction of operation. But similarly, smaller corporates who don't have the resources and means needs a partner who can help support them along in that journey so that they can focus on what they do best, which is, quite frankly, operating and growing their business. And so we've made sure Ripple Payments and this product provides transparency for our customers to ensure that they are remaining compliant. And our compliance experts are committed to upholding the stringent compliance standards across our products, services, and processes. We believe Ripple Payments will unlock a next wave of market growth for corporates that have historically been underserved by correspondent banking. And this is especially true for smaller and medium-sized corporations, which obviously represent a very large percentage of total corporations. But importantly, their share of cross-border payments is growing as our economy and world is getting increasingly interconnected. And with Ripple Payments, SMEs will now be able to, and corporates more broadly, will be able to pay suppliers, pay contractors, satisfy invoices, pay employees, all with the simplicity that our solution provides. And those funds will be settled in real time with access to over 70 different payout markets without any need of pre-funding. And along that journey, our customers will know exactly where their payments are at every step along the way. Quite simply, this announcement is representing a solution that provides all of the benefits of a blockchain-based payment solution with none of the expertise or barrier to entry required.
A number of announcements were made at Ripple's annual conference, Swell, in Dubai 2023 to show how Ripple Payments can support a variety of payments needs for businesses 24/7, 365 across regions and currencies. And Ripple is applying for a number of money transmitter licenses across U.S. jurisdictions, allowing Ripple Payments to offer its products and services within those jurisdictions. This is very interesting that they're applying directly for money service provider licenses in many of the states. Now, they have the most difficult state already in the BIT license in New York, which they got 2015 or 2016. But it is a process to go through each state in the U.S. With a single onboarding, customers are now able to access nearly 100% of global payout coverage to more than 70 payout markets through Ripple's international payments network. I'm going to talk more about the breakdown of what they mean by their network, because there is different components of that network that have a different coverage. And here's the biggest announcement that, for the most part, went under the radar and was only highlighted by a few people, and Ripple did not make a big deal about, but it is massive. This is significant. And for those of you who have been following this channel for the past 2 years or a year and a half, you know that I've said repeatedly, the XRP ledger, decentralized exchange, and AMM pools is where RippleNet will source its liquidity from, and ODL and Liquidity Hub will ultimately be run through there. So they say a new integration with the XRP ledger's native decentralized exchange will buttress global liquidity options for Ripple customers, streamlining customer onboarding into new markets and improving product performance. Through the newly expanded liquidity options, Ripple Payments can fulfill customers' liquidity needs on demand 24/7, 365. So this is a direct integration with the XRP Ledger DEX. And just a reminder, the AMM, which is part of the XLS 30D amendment, is an extension and an addition, enhancement to the existing central limit order book decentralized exchange. That was the first ever decentralized exchange, built in 2012. So on the trading side, for making payments or offers, are the only two transactors are the same. So it won't change from that viewpoint. So integrations can still be taking place now while the AMM amendment is in voting process. And it's really the supplying of liquidity side and everything that comes with that, with the continuous auction mechanism, the ability for those to spin up the AMM pools initially. So there has to be somebody who creates them, but they do not have administrative control, and they're a root account with the XRP ledger. Then we have next, similarly, Ripple has spent years creating a robust global network of on and off ramps via Ripple Payments. So it sounds like they're changing Ripple Net to Ripple Payments when it regards to payments. And we have over 70 countries representing 90% of the daily FX market. So they could pay out in 70 different countries. Here's a very interesting line. And there's these nice little hints that they drop in these Ripple Insights that give us an idea of what's to come. So in the future, Liquidity Hub will tap into the power of Ripple's global network, combining the power of global crypto liquidity and access to global markets. So what does that tell us? That Liquidity Hub is currently not integrated fully into Ripple's global network. There's a recent release in Ripple website's library of the payout network. So they have a network of different countries where when those payments are shot off into those countries, they have to go through the domestic payment system. And what's the unique thing about running through the ledger is you have to have tokenized fiat to do that. And when we see stable coins, they are absolutely not competitor to XRP. We need as premium stable coins on the XRP ledger. And David Schwartz says they're actively in discussions with financial institutions, banks, to have them issue on ledger. And it is right now a very advantageous time to issue the array of different stablecoins that are possible. But the demand to provide liquidity into these pools is what is going to be the predominant driver of XRP price. Now, XRP's utility is as liquidity, and it's providing a service that's earning organic yield. So all that payment flow, it doesn't matter if it's selling XRP in or buying. It doesn't matter which way the transactional volume of ODL or Liquidity Hub go. If it's XRP being shot off into USD, it doesn't affect the price like that. And they say that in there, that it's just getting liquidated, but it's breaking up the payments. It's not putting downward pressure. But you know what puts upward pressure? Demand for the asset. And as more people provide liquidity, the price will go up. We're going to look at the liquidity flywheel. And the liquidity flywheel is something that I find the perfect example of what will give you a visual of how this is going to work. I'm sure many of you will get this. Some of you, it might go over the top of your head, but stick with me here. So volume through the pools means increased fees, which means increased liquidity provider returns. Now there's a continuous auction mechanism And since the XRP ledger, it's at a network layer, the arbitrageurs will be paying for the rights. So that's additional revenue. That drives up liquidity returns, right? Which means deeper liquidity because more people now come into the pool. Drives liquidity deeper. And what does that do? Drives slippage down. Slippage goes down, volume goes up. And then volume goes up means the fees go up. Fees go up, liquidity providers make more. And round we go. That's the liquidity flywheel. That is what is going to drive the value of XRP up. Once you have the liquidity at the bottom, it's not a smart contract liquidity. This is built into the network. So that means you can build little smart contract applications on top of it. It's going to be far superior than Uniswap.
We've focused a lot of this conversation really emphasizing global. And one of the things that I'm really excited to announce is that this new set of capabilities is available in the United States today. But our ambitions are far greater than that. We want to bring along corporate customers across the globe. And in 2024, we'll start that journey by expanding the product to regions such as the European Union, United Kingdom, Singapore, Australia, and right here in Dubai and the UAE. Our focus has always been and will continue to be bringing faster, more reliable cross-border payments to businesses around the globe. And we're excited to see what Ripple Payments can do in this next chapter of bringing value and unlocking growth to a broader base of corporate customers.
But a regulated institution can't really just plug directly into a blockchain and use it for payments. It needs a layer of critical infrastructure services in order to make a blockchain payment practical for them. These include things like on and off ramps, simply meaning connecting blockchain rails with traditional rails. It means tokenizing different forms of assets like fiat currency into stable coins, creating robust liquidity to lower the costs around those tokens, and secure custody. And then further, developing software and APIs that will handle things like payment messaging and operations, key functions like compliance. This here is the heavy lifting that we at Ripple have been doing for a matter of years with our customers. And just like all tech companies who are running cloud businesses need compute, data, storage, etc., we think all enterprises in the Internet of Value will need this set of core infrastructure services. So this is where our focus is, and we're making a lot of progress. We're leading the industry in a lot of ways. Let me take you through a little bit of that. So to date, we've supported processing 27 million transactions worth $50 billion with our customers. We've developed the leading set of crypto off-ramps in the industry that now covers 70 payout markets, which is about 90% of global FX market coverage. We've developed a robust ecosystem of institutional market makers around top crypto tokens like XRP. And through our recent acquisition of Medico and joining of forces, we are now also able to provide bank-grade custody that's really bar none. We've also developed the software and APIs to handle end-to-end transaction tracking and transparency, as well as handling some of the key functions like reconciliation and compliance.
About a Ripple sales pitch for a minute. You know, we started with really our only customers were financial institutions. That's starting to expand into SMEs and corporates, and that's going to grow that opportunity. And as that opportunity grows and volumes grow, that drives liquidity. These are all good things for the XRP ecosystem, and again, I think for crypto overall. It's going to thrive, by the way. It just may not thrive as quickly in the United States. It is thriving in Dubai. It is thriving in London. It is thriving in Switzerland. So look, the opportunity, not just for Ripple, but the opportunity for the industry remains just profoundly large. And I think eventually the US will get there. If you zoom out far enough, this industry's only been around 10 or 12 years. If you zoom out far enough, I think 10 years from now, we won't be having this conversation, and the US will absolutely be one of the leaders in this space. In the meantime, the Dubais of the world are getting ahead. And I think that's fabulous. Around liquidity, around tokenization, certainly as Dan and I talked about regulation, these are all important. And I do think it's an amazing time to be alive. We're at a crossroads for crypto and blockchain to be integrated into all of the system. And I think that the benefit of that isn't just the companies, the entrepreneurs in this room. The benefit of that are humans. And, we got to step back and realize that these are technologies that will change and improve people's lives. And that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited.
Hello, everybody. Real-world asset tokenization is the bridge from the financial world we know into a new world with vastly improved economic productivity powered by blockchain technology. It's also what can take our industry from the billions into the trillions over the coming years. So I'm super excited to host this panel here today, where we'll drill a little bit into RWA tokenization opportunities, challenges, and I'm joined here by 4 esteemed colleagues and subject experts in the field. Welcome, everybody. Super excited to have you guys here.
Likewise, thank you.
Let's start with a session of introductions. If you can please quickly just intro yourself, your project, and then we dig in from there. Graham, you want to start?
Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Ripple, for having me here. So I'm Graham, CEO, co-founder of Archax. We're based out of London. I spent 20 years in asset management before seeing this technology and realizing that actually it was going to replace everything in financial services. We were of the opinion that if it changes every asset class, institutions will come. They'll look for someone credible. So we went to the FCA and became regulated as a digital securities exchange, custodian and broker, as well as a crypto asset company.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Yeah, thank you for having me here. My name is Jeremy. So my background is 20 years on the trading floor, structuring derivatives, and move on to crypto about 3.5 years ago. Started Gemini's Asia business, and 2 years ago left together with a colleague to start Open Eden. So Open Eden is based in Singapore, but we have 20 people across 7 different countries, and we have launched the world's first smart contract vault that brings US Treasury bills on-chain for 24/7 access live.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Marius.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Marius, ex-regulator, central banker for the last 15 years, Bank of England, Norges Bank, 10 years at the Bank of Lithuania, which is a central bank and regulator of the financial markets. And my experience and know-how is primarily in payments and financial infrastructure. And now I'm putting my knowledge to use in Axiology, which is developing capital markets infrastructure for tokenized regulated securities in European Union.
Awesome. Thank you, Marius. And Prasant?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. So my name is Prashant Kalangi, founder and CEO of Tassets. We are based in Silicon Valley, California. So we are an end-to-end technology engine that powers the real-world asset tokenization on-chain. And we have done significant assets, primarily hard assets such as real estate back in US, and we're expanding into other asset categories. We are asset agnostic and chain agnostic. We provide a tokenization platform as a service on a primary token issuance, and then we also provide secure connect that distributes these tokens to liquid pools across the globe. And we also have like a secondary trading exchange software. And I'm really thankful and grateful to be here. And XRPL is one of the chains that we are looking at to expand.
Thank you, Prasant. So as you can see, we definitely got the right crew here.
But what has been missing, as we agreed before the panel, is the infrastructure that would support better, cheaper, faster, less liquidity intensive trading, clearing, settlement of those real world assets. And I'm a strong believer that regardless of what type of asset will it be, be it treasuries, be it commercial bonds or high yield securities, they all need infrastructure. And that infrastructure so far is being provided by those institutions that you just mentioned. And they are sitting on legacy infrastructure. So we need to develop, well, we already have that infrastructure ready. And, you already have that infrastructure ready. What is missing is the legal regime that makes regulators and supervisors happy that it can be tried and implemented. And here I want to talk about DLT pilot regime regulation in European Union, which is really a forward-looking European legislative initiative, which calls incumbents and new companies to build integrated infrastructure that would be the rails for those tokenized, regulated securities. So Axiology is developing that infrastructure.
Awesome. Thank you, Marius. We'll talk more about what's missing for this stuff to really take off. I want to close this round of questions first with Graham about, like, where do you see the biggest opportunity with what hasn't really arrived yet on-chain?
Yeah, I think a lot of people used to talk about, fractionalization and the like, and really that's not where the most exciting areas lie. It's certainly, as Jeremy was talking to, it's kind of the function of the instrument. If you're a hedge fund, you could usually hold cash or go in a money market fund, which kind of froze your liquidity overnight, but you took away from bank risk. But now you can hold a tokenized money market fund, a tokenized treasury, whatever it is, and use it pretty much in the same way as cash. So, we're hoping in January XRP versus tokenized treasuries will be traded on our venue. We've already announced that. We've worked out the transaction reporting. The regulation allows it. And really that function of an instrument completely changes what it can be used for. And if you look out, there's kind of a bit of, people in the industry like to say, okay, kind of DeFi is over there and regulated assets over here. But what we like to do is look to DeFi and kind of be inspired by it and go, okay, what if you can take a tokenized security and put it into a borrowing lending platform? It starts to look like a pretty open SEC lending market. People can freely lend and borrow peer-to-peer in this manner. We're also dropping daily interest rates into people's wallets directly. So really just the functionality of the instrument completely changes.
There are incredible levels of global liquidity and adoption on chain. We're seeing the rise of new asset classes that are promising opportunities for traditional finance operators as well as customers alike. And this stuff is actually happening. So, financial institutions like JP Morgan, HSBC, even BlackRock are now actively pursuing tokenization of assets and ancillary services on chain. We've all seen Citi predict $4 to $5 trillion in assets will be tokenized by 2030. So it's really quite an exciting time, and utility is really here. So if we think about Ripple's approach in particular, we're really following the same ethos that we always have been, which is tackling some of the largest technical challenges in traditional finance. As a lot of people know, we started with cross-border payments and tackling the challenges of inefficiencies and costs with SWIFT. And now we're really looking at the way assets are traded, settled, reconciled in traditional finance, and the problems that are associated with these, ranging from slow speeds, high costs, inequity of access. And we're trying to tackle this head on through the XRP ledger, and really making that a foundation for the next generation of on-chain finance. So to give a couple of specifics, I won't go too deep. A lot of people are familiar with the native decentralized exchange. So the XRP ledger has had a native DEX that's based on order books for over 10 years now. A lot of people believe it was the first decentralized exchange that existed. And fully on-chain order books is really a special thing. There's not a lot of blockchains out there that can handle the load and operational cost of running an order book on-chain. So that's been live for quite some time. And recently, Ripple proposed an expansion to that native DEX by adding not only order books, but automated market making that's automatically integrated with those order books. So that is up for an amendment vote process right now, as you may have heard on Twitter and in other spaces. So definitely excited about that, and a lot of the opportunities that can create for XRPL users and beyond, from yield opportunities on tokens held, as well as expansion of liquidity for the long tail of tokens. Some other areas that we're looking into are real world assets. So forging partnerships with issuers of real world assets and tokenization platforms that can expose the functionality of XRP Ledger to issuers. So we form partnerships with Homecoin and the mortgage side, Libera and Singaporean government bond side, Tassets on the technology side, and really looking to expand capabilities even further in the future, starting with the building blocks of the XRP Ledger.
Is it will promote a greater good. When things get a lot more efficient and frictionless.
You're on the XRPL side. Actually, it supports multi-institutional AML KYC. So you're right that that's the direction of travel. That's one of the things we want to work on. But the regulation is a problem. You can place reliance on somebody else, but the standards are so different everywhere. Actually trying to get them aligned and say, okay, we'll all completely rely on each other is a real problem. But you guys have already solved it from the technology side. But like Jeremy says, if you can get the regulators aligned, here is the standard, here's what you ask for. Effectively, everyone can have an ID on chain, and then when we're issuing a security token, or Jeremy is, we can share it, our clients can share it. The network effect can grow much greater than these kind of failed institutional attempts at DeFi because they're so small right now. If you could really get the regulators aligned on that, then yeah, I agree, it'd go out in a much different fashion.
Jackpot.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Great points.
The total market is 1.4 quadrillion, everything that's ever out there. And if you start looking across any of those asset classes, they're all starting to move on chain already. And the ease with which we've seen people interested in money market funds, tokenized treasuries, and those types of instruments, the support for stable coins, when you're talking about replacing cash, when I see DTCC, Euroclear, Clearstream, it only takes one of them to flip onto natively digital, and that's trillions of assets on its own that move. So, tens of trillions, I think we could see. And bearing in mind it's 1.4 quadrillion, this is still a tiny slice of a huge market. 30 to 50 trillion, all on XRP, all trading on Artex.
Here we go, $50 trillion. 2 years from now, Ripple, Twitter will replay the session.
Of timing, honestly. There has to be an element of patience because there are so many moving parts. Whether if you look in trade finance world, there's been more progress made. If you look in the core custody world, we can clearly see it coming. Now, is it going to be in 3 years? Is it going to be in 5 years or 1? I mean, we're launching our own custody capability next year. I think the challenge will be that when it does come, it's going to be very, very fast. And I think from that perspective, those who are best prepared are going to be, there are always winners in a game. But I do think at the same time that we have a broader responsibility, and we see it in today's world. Collaboration is always much more successful, providing we have a set understanding of what the rules of the game are, and that really comes down to the regulatory aspect that we have, that ensures that at the end of the day, the owner of the asset can sleep at night in the knowledge that they know what they own and they have legal title to it. It's being kept in a secure way. And obviously, one of the other aspects of this business is it is a tremendous opportunity, not necessarily just to disenfranchise, because that frightens people, but to lower the cost of execution, which overall, if we can do that and we can broaden out the business models, it will actually be good business for everybody. And that's really, it sounds a little bit sort of almost a sort of religious fervor behind that. It's not intended that way. I just think it's a common sense approach to making the slower start become an accelerated one. But to repeat what I just said, I think when it does happen, it's going to be very, very fast.
The use cases and the opportunity they bring to rewire the DNA in banking, which is our tagline, really excites about digital assets. But there are a lot of other things which excite me in terms of how to help SMEs grow, how to help migrant workers, which are plenty in UAE, to come into mainstream financial services. Right? So, yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I get up every day in the morning, really excited about the work I do.
All right, so rewiring the DNA of the whole financial and economy of the world, basically.
Not only that, but to set an example and a template as to how it can be done.
Right.
Okay. Because we alone are not going to change the world, right? We need a broader ecosystem of partners. But hopefully by seeing us do what we do, there will be other partners who will wake up and say, yeah, you know what? Let's do it ourselves as well. And once we have the whole collective, I think we will exponentially change the pace. It is about introducing a new asset class to institutions and through institutions to retail investors to help them manage and grow their wealth, to remove some of the friction we see in the financial services. Take cross-border payments, for example. There is friction in cross-border payments, which something like digital assets or stable coins or CBDCs can solve, right? As a group, that digital assets are here to stay. We were one of the very first investors in Ripple in 2015, 2016. We were one of the very first banks to experiment with blockchain. And that conviction with us has stayed from there, that digital assets will become a very significant asset class of the future. And with that in mind, what we also recognize is that if it has to become a significant asset class of the future, institutional adoption has to happen. And for institutional adoption to happen, you have to build regulatory, compliant, and robust infrastructures for the industry. And frankly speaking, what better party to build these regulatory, compliant infrastructures except for people who actually know how to build regulatory and compliant businesses? So we have taken it upon us to digital assets is a high conviction theme, and we have taken it upon us to create business models and infrastructure in this particular area.
I'm Julian Soy, I'm the CEO of Zodia Custody. We were created by Standard Chartered Ventures 4 years ago as a standalone custodian. We also have Northern Trust and SBI on our shareholder. I think what is interesting is why were we created outside the bank even though we are a subsidiary of Standard Chartered? And that I think is oil tankers and speedboats, and we know that story pretty well. But I think the underpinning belief is really twofold. One is that blockchain is here to stay, and secondly, kind of as Adrian said in his opening speech, is that everything starts with custody. And if you get custody right, safe, secure place for your assets, then we can create interesting solutions on top of that.
Thank you, Julian. Let me maybe start. You spoke about Zodia being a spin-off of Standard Chartered Bank. We've seen many different ways of approaching cryptocurrencies and digital assets in the context of a large banking institution. And one of them is indeed to spin it off and say, well, we want to be agile and we want to be fast. The other one is to try and doing from within the bank. And both have their advantages and disadvantages. You know, potentially being spinned off is faster, but you have less support from the bank and the other way around. So can you tell us why this decision, and was it the right decision?
Of course, I think it's the right decision for sure. I think, you know, the technology is the technology, and this room knows that better than probably many conferences. But the key thing is it's around the people, the risks, the controls, 3 lines of defense, etc. That is so important to get that right. You also look at the world we're in, and it's 24/7. It's T0. It's 8 to 12 decimal places. Banking systems don't accommodate those things. And so when you are plugging this new technology into this old technology, it becomes really, really difficult. And I think we shouldn't underestimate the challenge with our colleagues in risk and compliance, and to ensure they understand what this technology is doing. And I go back to a few years ago when I got asked to go into the FCA to talk about this thing called cloud computing. And they kept asking banks about this cloud, and they were getting the wrong answers because they were asking the wrong questions about physical data centers and not about understanding the different risks that are associated with cloud over and above physical. And I think that is exactly the same with digital assets, is that you've got to ask the right questions and then understand the right responses to know what the risks are and what other controls that are required. So for me, the technology is the technology. It's hard to integrate, but it's also around the people. It's about the regulators. It's about the overall connection into the business, which I think as a number of large institutions have really struggled with and are still grappling with how to do that.
Rajiv, no, please.
I was just saying, representing the other side of the banking, the traditional banking side, where we perform custody around the world, we're an emerging market and frontier market specialist. So when we first recognized this opportunity, because we're dealing with in environments and markets and economies that are not interested necessarily in just achieving a status quo. They're looking, like with your business, to leapfrog. They want to find ways of getting ahead of the curve. And that's very much played a part in our own thinking. But there was also a fairly, I think, mature recognition that as a traditional bank as well, would we be able to move fast enough, make the necessary decisions, be agile enough to take advantage of the technologies? Because on one side, it was pretty scary prospect. We saw this, to use your analogy, that this could happen instantly and we'd be instantly disenfranchised. That was the initial fear, if you like, that got, the rumble going. But then it very quickly changed into one of, we see this as something that is additional, complementary, and potentially extremely exciting. But as I said just a moment ago, also a sense that were we agile enough to be able to do it? So that's why we created what is now called Ventures business. And it's made perfect sense for us. The other thing is creating an environment of open architecture, which on a personal basis, after many years in the industry, I think is the only thing that works. Give clients the freedom to choose the solutions that they see best suits their business, and not necessary to impose. By adopting that policy, if you like, we see that as actually being a very good decision on those that have followed that line. Give people the choice, have the capability, and they will come naturally.
So when my team on the RippleX product side is thinking about new protocols, we really aren't looking to our left and right at other layer ones. What we're looking at is traditional finance and at customers of traditional finance and understanding what are their pain points and challenges that they're facing today? Where are they paying excess costs? Where are they experiencing slower than necessary speeds? And where are they potentially being denied financial products that they should have access to? And that's where we're really starting and shaping the protocols that we're designing, is how can we improve upon the traditional finance space in those products? And how can we also create a great developer experience in that process and make it really easy and seamless to build. So that's sort of our starting point. In terms of, some examples, I think, one is the auction mechanism on the proposed AMM. That's a novel feature where we weren't looking at, what are the best features on other AMMs. We're looking at what are the problems that users are experiencing with AMMs, and permanent loss is a really big one. So that's a place that our team was really able to dig in and identify opportunities for reducing user pain points. And that's really where the auction mechanism was born.
And its innovative capabilities could go on to revolutionize the finance industry on chain. And that's another theme that underpins all of this, is that the focus is on-chain finance. Let go of the disconnect with RippleNet as this separate entity thing. That's all integrating into the ledger. Telling you right now.
For the past decade, we are perhaps best known for having built a global cross-border payments and messaging infrastructure network. That network is active across 120 some odd currency pairs with 300 regulated financial institutions, currently moving billions of dollars globally. We built that network on the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger is a public permissionless blockchain. We built that network on the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger is a public permissionless blockchain. It's been in production for a decade. We've taken that solution, that ledger, and we've architected a private version of that public ledger. And that forms the base of our CBDC platform. On top of that ledger, we've built a series of applications for different stakeholders in the CBDC ecosystem. So that's what we've built.
So we need to change. We need to fundamentally change how we think.
Liquidity. And in the Larry Fink definition, I can now have an asset through this tokenization process that I can use as a transaction, but as a collateral as well. So if I can use something as collateral, I increase its value. It's huge. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're at 2. So it's way too early to call winners and losers, to be dogmatic about anything. Bitcoin is going to the moon and Ethereum isn't. Whether KKR is going to win or BlackRock is going to win, whatever their tokenization process is. Way too early.
Even with these ETFs that are coming out now, you don't think BlackRock has plans to use those tokenized form? Absolutely. We need to start looking forward and not backward. And on-chain finance. If you saw Crypto's Eddie's interview, it was phenomenal with the head of RippleX products. She talks all about on-chain finance, and they're making a major push for real-world asset tokenization on the XRP ledger.
If you look at the decentralized exchange, it exists at the native protocol layer, which is different from existing on a smart contract layer. But there's still a lot of neat functionality in there that you can do, from placing limit orders to cross-currency payments that go through the DEX. There's also NFT functionality, and these protocols really just exist at the core RippleD protocol layer. And I think there are some really neat advantages of that, especially for creating a new financial system on chain. And I think there are some really neat advantages of that, especially for creating a new financial system on chain. So having the amendment process and having a set of validators and a set of standards for reviewing any additions, any new DeFi protocols that can interface with users, and in enforcing security audits and reviews and in-depth code challenges across the community ensures that as soon as this protocol can interface with a consumer, it's secure, it's legitimate, it's not a rug pull. And I think that's a huge advantage of the sort of native protocol approach, as opposed to smart contracts where that can be deployed by anyone, anytime, without vetting. Another advantage of this is liquidity that aggregates on the protocol layer, which reduces fragmentation. If and when the AMM goes live, what we'll see is not smart contracts competing with one another, even when they're deployed by a single group, but we're going to see all liquidity aggregating at the protocol layer, so everyone on chain can take advantage of that.
The recent announcement at Swell that went under the radar, some people thought that it was a dud. It was the biggest announcement of any Swell. Sorry. It's going to have the biggest impact of any announcement. People just don't realize it yet. But the integration of RippleNet's products to tap into the liquidity source of the XRP ledger is the single biggest thing. Like, for me personally, researching this for 5 years and really last 2 years digging into the AMM, that was always logically what was going to happen. And they confirmed that, David Schwartz, a couple months ago. And their executives have hinted at it and said it multiple times over the past 3 years or more, that the decentralized exchange was where Liquidity Hub, where ODL are going to flow through, and now crypto payments.
What role do you see AI and machine learning playing in predicting customer demand for assets, and how does this inform liquidity management too?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Same thing. I think that's just also the fun part of being in these industries that are working new technologies, is actually starting to see how they connect with others, and very true at Ripple. So machine learning and AI are things that we already do at Ripple. We think are very important. In the way in which we think about it is, our goal is to provide that very consistent, high caliber customer experience. But for payments, I think like there's parts of that are, decisions that have to be made on the scale of 27 million, payments and $50 billion worth of cross-border payments that we've done with our solution over the years. So you can't have kind of simple strategies that run at that scale. And so AI and ML are the things that let you do that, right? So they help you forecast, make our best estimates of the future for things that are not fully predictable, say like exchange rates or volatility or market supply. And then lets you kind of systematically optimize trade-offs in a way that kind of reduces costs for our customers, but keeps resiliency and kind of the high number of nines that we can for delivering those payments. And in kind of really building towards almost like a mini logistics platform where you have forecasting, planning, execution systems that all come together that give that consistency. And before Ripple, I worked in high-frequency trading space. So, many of those same kind of forecasting and risk management technologies can be applied here.
but really, there's no other way to do it. You need AI and ML to do this well at the scale and consistency and the speed with which we want to deliver for our customers. But then if you think about how they kind of work together, so obviously, as I just shared, there's very much the use of AI and ML to how we fulfill liquidity, how we kind of do that logistics of crypto liquidity and payments for our customers. I think there's other ways that specifically large language models and the new generative AIs can be relevant for, say, compliance, KYC, AML, where we can kind of use that technology to reduce the burden on customers, kind of increase the efficiency of our own teams. I think just customer support, we've seen both well done and not well done. The use of, ChatGPT for doing customer service. I think it's a great place to start. We definitely need to make it better, but I think there is a lot of value there in how customers integrate and interact with our services. On the flip side, I think there's interesting questions about what crypto can do for AI, actually. Again, with generative AI, a lot of the questions are around, authenticity, copyright, kind of provenance. That's actually a thing that blockchain does quite well. It can, the amazing part, and the way I think about blockchain technology that's just mind-blowing to me is basically this shared infrastructure that is open, that anyone can participate in, and enables these different parties that have no pre-existing agreements or arrangements to reach a shared source of truth. So I think applying that to some of the data, some of the content generated by LLMs, I think is a place where crypto might actually help speed the adoption of AI. So, very much exciting to kind of have both of these technologies at the forefront now and kind of being part of the industry that gets to figure out how they can be combined.
In the meantime, I believe that the concepts of automated market makers, which are proliferating in distributed exchanges, I think they could be taken into mainstream and applied to the places like, usual marketplaces, which right now are being intermediated by intermediaries, which are living in these semi-transparent worlds and extracting value. And maybe we, as citizens of the world, we can not only be just buyers and sellers, but we could be, for example, market makers of those tokenized assets. And if I have excess liquidity of something, I can just put it into the pool and facilitate transactions for the people which I have no idea that they even exist, and that they engage in those transactions. So that's my vision.
Very exciting vision of what the world could look like.
But the demand to provide liquidity into these pools is what is going to be the predominant driver of XRP price. Now, XRP's utility is as liquidity, and it's providing a service that's earning organic yield. So all that payment flow, it doesn't matter if it's selling XRP in or buying, it doesn't matter which way the transactional volume of ODL or Liquidity Hub go. If it's XRP being shot off into USD, it doesn't affect the price like that. And they say that in there, that it's just getting liquidated, but it's breaking up the payments. It's not putting downward pressure. But you know what puts upward pressure? Demand. Demand for the asset. And as more people provide liquidity, the price will go up. So by 2024, XRP and the XRP ledger are expected to branch out into the open metaverse, enabling on-chain liquidity and giving birth to a powerful DeFi ecosystem. This ecosystem will be fueled by the community and will likely converge with Ripple's institutional DeFi strategy. This convergence sets the stage for the tokenization of real-world assets, or WAs, providing the necessary rocket fuel for the DeFi ecosystem on the XRP ledger. The speculative trading on centralized exchanges will no longer be primary driver of the XRP's price. And that will take time, but that's where we're headed. It's going to pull all liquidity off, and therefore it's going to pull the price up. And ultimately, XRP's market will be on the ledger ultimately. In conclusion, 2024 is set to be a year of major transformation on the XRP ledger, expanding its capabilities, attracting more interest in XRP, and encouraging further development of innovative applications. For a more detailed explanation of these predictions and possibilities, you can check out the Level Up the XRP Community 2023 playlist on my YouTube channel.
As you said, the tokenization of many, many assets, I think, is underway, and I think that's exciting.
We are moving into a tokenized world where everything will be tokenized, where Ripple's whole strategy is tokenization. And you heard it there from David Schwartz. The world we will be most successful in is where there are a lot of tokens and everything is tokenized, and positioning XRP to compete. And that's what the liquidity pools are for. The AMM specification is to position XRP to be the dominant asset because of the protocols and because of the ecosystem that is surrounding it. No single asset, just because it's an asset, can be. The global liquidity solution, you need the protocols, and the automated market maker is a unique implementation at the network layer that's open, neutral, censorship resistant, immutable, and permissionless. At the blockchain layer, there's nothing more fair than an automated market maker, and everyone can contribute and withdraw from public pools of global liquidity, which has been David Schwartz's vision for the past 10 years. The federated sidechains and the automated market maker, which are the two core enhancements that are going to allow XRP Ledger to leapfrog other networks in the industry. It was always built on an open, public, permissionless, censorship-resistant, immutable, decentralized blockchain or distributed ledger, the XRP ledger. And we are going to have no longer a single ledger. We're going to have a network of cooperatively interconnected XRPL protocol chains, along with EVM side chains, substrate side chains, and other types of networks that are all interconnected in this multi-net of networks.
And then with the mechanism that we're working on that will allow the pool to recapture much of the profits that the arbitrage makes, almost as if the pool were arbitraging against itself, we're hopeful that that will incentivize very, very deep pools of liquidity on the XRP ledger that will make movement between tokens very efficient. So that could be, I think that could be a game changer.
I'm Mickey B. Fresh, and I'm out.